strangers! It's me! It has been a while since I recorded anything. In fact, I don't think I've put anything up here since our baby moon back in July, and it was the worst video ever. My heart just wasn't in it. I was just feeling really rubbish during my pregnancy. It is now January 2020. I have had my baby. I am in my baby's room. I don't have my baby with me. He's gone out with Daddy so that I can have some time to myself, and I thought I'd take the opportunity to try and get back on YouTube and film a few videos for you. If they come back before I finish filming, I'll insert a little clip here of him, but there's been loads of clips of him on my stories on Instagram and a few photos up on Instagram too, so if you want to go and see him, he's over there. If I don't put a clip in here, but I don't know if they're going to be back or not, but it's much easier to try and do this when he's not here. Hence why it's taken me so long. He is now, I think it's 9 weeks. I've lost count. It was an 8-week checkup last week, so it must be 9 weeks today actually. And it's taken me this long to start to feel like I'm me again, and I'm just a bit more human, and kind of just getting the creative juices flowing. So and the enthusiasm and the time to do this. Today I thought I would kick things off with a little story about my birth, and the positive story about birth, because you hear a lot of horror stories, and I had a lovely, as much as it can be, I had a lovely birth, so I wanted to share that with you. During our pregnancy, we went to see Joey Yoga, who ran a hypnobirthing course in Bedminster in Bristol, and I can't recommend her enough. She was absolutely lovely, and I found that the hypnobirthing course really helped us during the actual labour, and just in the lead up and the run up as well. We did our hypnobirthing course in October, and I think I'd have been about 32 weeks pregnant, I think, at that point, although it obviously was every week. We did, I think it was a Monday night for a couple of hours. I know there's lots of different hypnobirthing courses out there, but we went for this one because she was local and quite local to us. I found that the hypnobirthing really helped with the knowledge and sort of prepared your expectations of the birth and how positive it actually could be. And I think the main thing that we took away from it was that when you watch things like One Born Every Minute and just general films where women are given labour, I said people are given labour, but it's generally women, where women are given birth to babies, they are generally always in the stirrups with their legs wide apart, and they're on their backs and they're laying down and they're really pushing and screaming, and it looks scary, and probably most other story that you've ever heard has probably filled you with fear, and it just doesn't look like a nice process. Like when people say labour or birth to you, generally I would say that most people would go to a bad place and think that's a scary thing to do. During the hypnobirthing process, like a lot of people think, oh, it's like a lot of hoo-ha, and Brad thought it was like going to be this like really hippie thing and kind of chanting and all that kind of stuff, and it isn't at all. I'm sure there are maybe some classes like that, but this one particularly wasn't. And it was mostly just reframing how you imagine birth to be, so that you can imagine and manifest a positive birth experience. And I really found that to be the most helpful part of it. There's lots of other bits that go along with hypnobirthing, with the breathing, and there is some meditation involved, and just learning how to calm yourself in certain situations. And I suppose that probably did help, but the most helpful thing was actually just knowing your options, knowing that all the different things that they could offer you during birth, and putting together a birth proposal, because part of my thing was I wanted a water birth, and I'm quite a control freak. I say it like that because my therapist says I'm not supposed to say control freak, but yeah, so I would have struggled, I think, without the hypnobirthing to have had any other kind of birth if it happened. I'll tell you what all happened after. I just thought I'd give you a bit of a backstory first. This is a really rambly video, so just bear with me. If I've missed anything out and you've got any questions, just hit them in the comments below, and I'll try and answer them when I've got time and I'm not feeding at 3 AM. Anyway, I digress. So, where was I? Yeah, so putting a birth proposal together, knowing all your options, I also read the Positive Birth book by Millie Hill whilst we were on our baby moon, and I found that also really helpful. And just knowing that you don't have to have an epidural, you don't have to be in the delivery suite, there are other options, and knowing what options are included in those different scenarios. I'm not going to go into it personally, into all the different options, because there are tons, and it took us 8 hours of lessons to learn everything. So I'd just highly recommend doing the hypnobirthing, just so you're well educated in your options, and that you can say no, or that if someone says you need this, you can say, how long have I got to think about that? And then it gives you time to consider all your options, basically. So for me, my birth preference was that I wanted to be in the midwife-led unit, or you might hear me refer to that as the MLU. I looked at, in Bristol we've got Cosham Centre, Southmead and St Michael's. So for me, St Michael's was the one that we were just kind of automatically at because of our catchment area, and I was happy there. And also I've heard that they're like #1 in the country or something, so I think we're quite lucky in Bristol that we do have some really good services here. But they've got a lovely MLU unit, or midwife-led unit, at St Michael's Hospital. So they've got 3 or 4 rooms. We went for the tour. I would also recommend going for the tours. I didn't know before, well, it was quite late on actually, because the midwives and stuff don't tell you about this kind of stuff, or mine didn't. Although my midwives were great, they don't sort of say, oh, you can go for these tours and you've got options and blah, blah, blah. And I can't remember how we found out about it, but so we went for the tour. So we went around, they took you around the delivery suite, the delivery ward, and the midwife-led unit and you can see sort of the different environments, so you know what to expect when you're going into it, basically, and you're not completely overwhelmed by the situation that you're in. I loved the idea of a water birth, so that you know me, I've always been a water baby. In the summer, I'm just in the pool. For me, water just has this calming effect on me, and there's something magical about the water. It's just a really calm space for me. So I was really, really keen to have a water birth. I also really wanted to be in the midwife-led unit, because the delivery ward just scared me a little bit. And basically what we learned was, once you go downstairs into the delivery ward, you can't then go back upstairs and go backwards. So it's kind of like you can start in the midwife-led unit and go downstairs if there's any complications, or if you so choose to, if you give up with just gas and air, you can go down. But once you go down, you can't go back up. So I really wanted the pink room. There's basically a pink and a turquoise room in the midwife-led unit, which are totally on brand for me, or always used to be. As you can tell, my life is kind of shades of pink and green, and I put it actually on my birth proposal that if available, I really wanted the pink room. So that was my preference, because I wanted to be in control of the situation. I wanted to know what's going on. I'd heard that if you have an epidural, you can't feel anything, so you can't feel when to push, and they say that you're more likely to kind of tear, and once you have interventions, you're more likely to have more and more interventions. So I wanted to have as little intervention as possible for as long as I could. The other thing I wanted to say is, during the hypnobirthing process through the pregnancy, I used to go to bed and I'd listen to there were lots of meditation and guided meditation audio clips that we were given through the hypnobirthing class, and they were good, they were okay, but I found one on YouTube, which I think it all depends what you like to listen to and the voice and things like that, and what you feel comfortable with. I found one from Emma Kenny, who you might have seen on This Morning. I used to see her, and then I saw this video and listened to it, and it just really resonated with me, and I used to go to sleep to it quite often, most nights. And I would lie in bed and I would manifest and visualize the birth that I wanted. So every night I'd listen to it. When she was talking about the process that I was going to go through, I was in that pink room, I was in the water giving birth, and that, I guess, helped because I had a positive, I wasn't scared of the birthing process. I was more scared of what was coming after, to be honest, like the actual baby, than the labour itself. And lots of people prepare heavily for the birth, but they don't really think about postpartum. For me, I dealt with that kind of, I wasn't scared about the labour. I knew that that was gonna be kind of difficult as much as labour is, and I knew it could have varying levels of that, but for me the scary part was after that. So I did a lot of therapy to kind of deal with that through the pregnancy, and the pregnancy definitely gets you ready for it. Sorry, I'm looking out the window a lot because I'm thinking and getting used to filming again. Sorry if I'm not looking at you. Rambling, aren't I? I do a lot of this. So what was I saying? Yes, so I used to manifest that positive birth story or birth scenario. Anyway, so the actual birth, it kicked off it was a Tuesday night. I'd got into bed around 10ish, and at midnight I was woken up by this surge. I keep forgetting to call them the words. That's the other thing with hypnobirthing, is you learn positive words to use, because, you know, people think of contractions, you think pain. For me, they were quite strong surges, but we obviously had the tools in our box to use to get through that. Anyway, so from 12 o'clock midnight on that Tuesday night, literally they were every 15 minutes the surges were coming, and I was using the Freya app to track those, and it sort of gives you advice if they're coming sooner. Then it says like you might want to go into the hospital now. I wasn't anywhere near ready all night basically, and I was on my birthing ball in this room. Both Brad and I were staying in this room at this point. I was staying in this room anyway because it's much more comfy bed, and I was suffering a lot with my pelvic pain, and this is a real soft bed, and I just needed the bed to myself. So just me and Brad were sleeping separately for a while. That night he was obviously stayed with me, and we were in and out of didn't really get a lot of sleep, but when I didn't have any surges, I was sort of just resting on the edge of the bed as much as I could. So they literally for 8 hours, I was getting between every 5 and 15 minutes. They were pretty consistent, but not enough to warrant going into hospital yet. And then at about 8 o'clock in the morning, I was exhausted. I just kind of was in so much pain with the surges. I said, I can't do it anymore, let's go. It was a bit earlier than that, it was about 7:30 I think actually. And of course Bristol traffic, we were worried, so we tried to get ready early and go, but of course by the time we actually got out of the house, the traffic was a nightmare. So I was sat in the van, Brad was driving, the surges were coming every like 5 minutes to 10 minutes. But off we went to the St Michael's, which is about normally a 15 minute drive for us, but in the traffic it probably took us about 20 minutes, half an hour maybe, of just this. And I was just trying to breathe through it, and at that point I was just really just in my own zone. I wasn't really aware of what was going on. I was aware there was traffic, but I was just, had my eyes closed, was just trying as much as I could to breathe through it. I'd already spoken to the midwife led unit to say we were on they said, come in if you want, we'll check you over. So she just said, just breathe, don't tense up, just try and relax as much as you can, which is really hard. It's like when you're shivering and all you want to do is like tense up, but you have to try and relax, and that's easier said than done, but managed to try and do that. Anyway, so we got to the midwife led unit. A lovely lady called Rachel saw us, and as soon as we got there, she was like, oh, I follow you on Instagram. And I'm like, great, you're about to stick your hands in my vagina and you follow me on Instagram and you know my life, great. But she was really lovely, and if you happen to be watching this page, hi, thanks, we help. But anyway, so we went into this little side room, and she said how often, like I was asking about the surges, how often they would come in. And then she sort of offered me some pain relief. I can't remember what that was called, but it was basically tasted like a bit of Calpol. and she said that would help. And she said, have you eaten anything? I was like, no, I've been 8 hours of all these surges and haven't eaten or drunk much really. I think I'd had some water, but not a lot really. She said, right, make you some tea and toast. And by that point I was ravenous, and I was trying to eat this toast. I could not get it down me quick enough, but just as I took like literally the last mouthful of my toast, a surge came on, and it was literally at the back of my throat. So I just couldn't control what my body was doing, but I just sicked that toast up everywhere. I think that was awful. That was probably worse than the actual surge itself, just being sick, because I just couldn't catch my breath and it was stuck in my throat, and oh, that was horrible. And then so she offered me what are they called, it wasn't a stretch, she offered me like an internal, and in the beginning I said I don't want any of that as much as possible, because I don't know, I just thought it'd be really cringy. But to be honest, when you're actually going through the surges and you just want to know what's going on, so they want to know what's going on as well, so they know how far along you are. By that point she went up in there and said that actually it was only 1 to 2 centimeters dilated at that point. And I'm like, no, I don't want to go home, I don't want to go home. And through the traffic, it was like, just being in that car on the way in, having to deal with these surges wasn't a nice experience, to be honest, but it had to be done. We had to get to and from the hospital, and I knew going in early that was probably the case. They do say stay at home as long as you can, because it can mess things up, but I just wanted to know what was going on. I wanted some pain relief, I wanted some reassurance. She also, the midwife led unit, I was really lucky, was quite quiet at the time that we went in, and Rachel was really lovely. She said, I was like, is the pink room available? And she was like, I think it is, yeah. So she let us just have a little bit of rest and have some more toast and some biscuits. I think basically for 24 hours I basically survived on bourbon biscuits. I didn't really eat much else. I think we had some Lucozade as well, so take snacks. But I just didn't really want to eat, because my surges were they were quite close together. I didn't really have time to eat, and also after the being sick on toast thing, that was a lot. I just didn't want to eat, so a few biscuits and some sugar just helped me through. But anyway, she let us rest in the MLU for a while, and I think it was about early lunchtime, so we probably got there about 8:30, and then by about 11 we must have slept for a little bit, as much as I could in between the surges. We just rested. The MLU, for those if you don't know, is basically, it's got a double bed, a birthing pool, it's got the birthing ball, it's a lovely big open room, and it's totally private. It's got a shower in it, and they're massive, to be honest. They're really huge rooms. They're bigger than my bedroom at home. And then about 11 o'clock she was like, she said that they were getting busy down on the delivery ward, and that she couldn't, as we weren't actually in active labour, keep us here with the excuse of not going down. So she had to go down to the delivery ward, and suggested going home. She said, pop to Boots on the way home and get a TENS machine. So we did that. Brad went in, got the TENS machine, I think, and some paracetamol and ibuprofen I think, or maybe just paracetamol, although I didn't really touch the sides, but she gave me that painkiller there. And yeah, so we went home, and literally from about 12 o'clock, laid in bed, surges were still coming on every 5 to 15 minutes. Still, this is, what, 18 hours, that's it. It's like 8 hours. Oh my god, my maths timing is not good. Anyway, so it was from 8 o'clock the night before, 8 o'clock in the morning is 12 hours, yeah, plus 12, 13, 14, 18 hours. We'll go with that. It was about 18 hours by that point. And yeah, tried to just sleep the afternoon away, just rested. Didn't get, so when they talk about it in hypnobirthing, you're supposed to have this like down phase. Is that, oh, I've forgotten it all now. I really should have done this closer when it was a bit fresher in my mind. Anyways, the surges are still coming. I've got the TENS machine on. Every time the surges came, we pressed the boost button on the TENS machine, and it did really help, but I wasn't really getting any rest because they were coming so often and so consistently. But the TENS machine helped, and we just sort of dozed all afternoon. And then it got to about 4 o'clock, I think, and I was just like, they're coming really strong now. The TENS machine wasn't really helping. I was like, we've got to go again, because otherwise we're going to get stuck in Bristol traffic again. We've already done the traffic in the AM and we're going to do it in the PM. So I think it was about 4 or 5 o'clock. She was like, do you want to come in? I was like, I really want to come in and I don't want to come home again. She was like, come on then, you can come back in. Rachel was there ready for us again. And again, we were really lucky. The pink room was still available. So we went in, she did another examination. And I think by that point I think I was maybe 3 centimeters dilated. But she said that I could stay, I didn't have to go home again. I was like, I don't want to go home again, I just want to stay here. So she let me stay, and then I was just on the ball for quite a lot, in the bed. We didn't have any music on, we didn't have any meditation on. That was part of the hypnobirthing, is that you could listen to this meditation through the actual labour. That sort of all went out the window a little bit, but I was just breathing through it, using the TENS machine for quite a long time still. And then there's just no way to like make this a long story short really, because I'm trying to get in all the details for you, for those that are interested anyway. Obviously you wouldn't be watching this video if you're not interested. Yeah, and then at one point Brad was watching the football and I was like, what are you doing, in my head, but I didn't actually say anything because the sort of white noise was quite nice. And I just thought, well, I'm in my own little zone, you just watch the football. And then it started sort of progressing a little bit quicker, and I was getting, each time I was sat on the birthing ball leaning on the bed, and each time the surges were coming, I was getting this urge to push. And by that point the midwives had changed over, and oh my gosh, I've forgotten the actual midwife we had all the way through the active phase. Oh, I'm so naughty, Brad would know, I've forgotten. I'm sorry. Oh my god, what was her name? It's on the tip of my brain. I'm gonna put it down to Bravey Brain if you're watching this, sorry. It's been 2 months, I've forgotten. So yeah, by that point she did another internal examination, and at one point she was saying, no, you're not close enough, you're not ready to push, just breathe through it, breathe through it. So I was trying to do that for ages. And for the most part, by the way, the midwife just left us to it. We were basically in the room alone, just me and Brad, for most of the time. She'd come and go, check on us, but by that point, so probably at about midnight, at some point I've missed a bit, because at some point during this process I'd got into the birthing pool earlier just for a bit of, I think because that's when I took the TENS machine off, when things got a bit much. I got in the birthing pool just to kind of calm myself. The hot water was just did wonders for the contractions / surges. And but she said don't stay in too long because it can actually halt things and like stop things moving along. Failure to progress is what they say, but that again is a language that we don't use during the hypnobirthing, because it sounds like you're not, sounds like you're failing, but you're not, you're just, your body's not quite ready yet. So I got in, I don't know what time that was, to be honest. A lot of it is a bit of a blur. But anyway, so when I was feeling the urge to push, she said she heard and she could hear me grunting. Brad said I never actually screamed the whole way through. I think it was a lot of sort of like trying to hold it in and breathe through it at the same time. And she could hear that, so she went back up there and she was like, you're 4 centimeters. I was like, yay, we're in active labor. At some point then I was like, I can't cope, like, can I go downstairs? I want to go downstairs, I want an epidural, I just can't cope anymore. I was like ready to throw in the towel. She was like, they're so busy downstairs, like there's going to be a half an hour wait, and then it'll be too late to have the epidural, da da da. And Brad was really supportive and he was like, you don't want this, it's fine, you can do it. Are you sure that's what you want? And I was like, I want that, I don't know. And I think at that point, again, at some point I had an injection in my leg, which was a pethidrin, I think, which was a pain relief thing. And I also, when I started getting the, like, when I was in active labour, they let you have the gas and air. So it was because it had taken 24 hours of this what you call the latent phase, which is when you're not, it's not until you get 4 centimeters dilated that you're in active labour. And I thought, if it's taken me 24 hours to get to 4 centimetres dilated, I can't cope anymore. I can't then get to 10 centimetres dilated for another 24 hours. I just did not, I couldn't, the thought of that just scared the hell out of me. But yeah, so at that point when she said, okay, you're 4 centimetres dilated, I could start having the gas and air, and that sort of started to help. I was like breathing that in during the rise of the surge, and then sort of let that, as it went, just like kind of let it out again. And we got from 4 centimetres, so I think 4 centimetres, it was about midnight, and then by 2 AM I was so close to giving up and just like, that's it, I'm done. And she could hear me grunting. She came in and she did another examination, and she was like, you're like 9.5 centimetres dilated, we are ready to go, it's so close. And I was like, oh my god, yes. So that bit was really quick. We got from 4 to 9 really quickly, in just a couple of hours. And then at about, I think it was 2 AM, got in the pool. I'd been having gas and air for obviously a couple of hours by that point, and she had to move the gas and air from the bed over to the pool. And I swear when I got in the pool, I was using the gas and air, but it was either just not touching the sides, or there just wasn't anything in there. It didn't have the same hit as the other gas and air, so I just gave up with it. I thought we were only in the pool for about half an hour, but Brad said it was like 2.5 hours that I was in that pool. And we were just pushing, and she's saying like, push through your bum, push through your bum. I was like, I can't push through my bum. And each surge I had about 3 good like pushes. And initially I thought I could just breathe through it, but I couldn't. I did have to push, which I kind of thought I was just gonna be able to like breathe it out, which was not the case. Oh, Brad's back with Ted, so it sounds of it. And then yeah, so then I got about 3 good pushes each time, but it wasn't quite enough to like go. And at one point she was like, I need you to get out the pool. So I was sort of laying down at one point and sort of pushing from my bum, and then I got up and was sort of on my knees, and that I found really helped. And she had the mirror and she's looking, and Brad can see in the mirror his head coming out, and I could feel it. It was a really strange sensation, and it didn't really hurt, but I could sort of, I got to like a limit where I felt like if I go any more it's gonna tear. I can hear Ted crying now. So I kind of held back a little bit and just sort of listened to my body and went with it. Babe? Yeah? I'm just gonna put this, alright?
I've done really well, mate.
That's not a poo, is it?
I don't know.
Hey, you're hungry!
4 hours.
Yay! Cool, you must be really thirsty. Cool.
Just having a cup of tea with me, Dad.
Alright, no worries, not carrying on filming.
Yeah.
So this is my little teddy bear. But he's hungry, so we're going to put him on the boob, and I'll try and continue to talk to you. So yeah, so where was I? So yeah, we were pushing. I'd been in there a long time. I'd given up with the gas and air, so at that point I was basically had nothing. I was just doing it on my own. In terms of pain relief, I had nothing. Stay on that booby, mister. And at some point she said, well, you're gonna have to get out. I think you've been in there too long. They keep checking the baby, whether he's stressed or not. And I was like, I don't want to get out, I'm so close, I can do it. I just wanted him to come out in the water. I did not want to get out of the water. And I think they were worried that either he was getting too stressed or that it just wasn't happening quick enough. But I could feel like if I could just get a 4th push in, it was there. Like I could feel him sort of coming out, going back in, coming out a bit further, going back in. And each time he's coming out a bit more and a bit more. And I knew if they wanted me to get out, I wasn't getting out, so I needed to get this shit done. So anyway, so then I got sort of moved over from my knees and sat back. And she was like really encouraging me to like push through the bum, push through the bum. And then she could see he was pretty much there. I could feel it as well. But it wasn't really like it was painful, but the actual him coming out wasn't as painful as the surges themselves, and that, yeah, the actual surge as it's coming through you, which you're trying to breathe through, that was more painful than him actually coming out. Anyway, so we get to the point where his head's out, and then she's like, right, just hang on a minute, like they make sure the cord isn't wrapped around his neck and stuff, and then the rest of his body just kind of shot out like a little torpedo. Like obviously I had to push, but in one push it was out, and that was it. And then he was out, and that was at 4:30 on 5th of December. So all in all, it was, we've just established I'm no good at maths, but I think we said about 40 hours, so no, 36 hours. So 8 till 8 is 24, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4. Another 8 hours on top of 24. 32 hours total. But the actual active labour was only 4.5 hours. But that, yeah, long latent phase. And then, yeah, and then he came out in the water and it was all lovely. And I thought I would cry, but I didn't cry. I thought Brad would cry. Don't think Brad cried. We had a lot of skin to skin, and we stayed in the midwife led unit, got into the bed, had lots of skin to skin time and cuddles. Yeah, I was fully expecting to go down to the delivery ward, but because they'd been so busy, they didn't have any beds down there, so they were like, well, we're not very busy, you can just chill up here. So we got really, really lucky with that whole experience. It was just, it felt like having a private room, because I had actually considered going private for this, because I just don't really like sharing my space, and I don't know, a bit snobbery, I guess. Although the NHS is great, you know, I didn't want to be sharing a room with 3 other new mums first thing after giving birth. So that was really important to me, and we just got really lucky, and just had this lovely, dreamy, private, big room. I couldn't recommend, obviously, that midwife-led unit enough. The midwives up there were amazing, left us to it as much as they could, but were really supportive as well. We had a few midwives come in the morning and just check us over, sort of helped us breastfeed a little bit, made sure we had a feed before we went, made sure I could have a wee. I was fully expecting them to say, you need to have a poo, but luckily they didn't, because that was scary. I didn't have a poo for 3 days after, I think, because I was a bit of fear, and I have literally, like, I have the opportunity to poo, and if I miss that, I miss it, and I just didn't have the opportunity for a while. And that was lovely, and then we went home at lunchtime, so it was just a really wonderful experience. That was on the Thursday, so we had Thursday night at home. We had people to visit on the Friday. This is the other thing. Personally, I wanted a few days just to settle in with just me, Brad and Teddie. It was a bit of basically all the family wanted to see him immediately, and I do think it's a bit unfair. Sorry family if you're watching, but we've just been through all of that. I was a new mum. I think it's quite common that, and an old tradition where grandparents want to see the baby immediately, and I get it, but also it's not about you, it's about us and a family and that bonding experience. But it turned out fine. We had some visitors Friday afternoon, and then Saturday morning just my mum and grandma, and then Brad's parents on the Saturday morning. But it was such a whirlwind. And then the midwife came on Saturday morning before Brad's parents came, and she said, she was like, that baby is more yellow than a Simpson, he has jaundice. So she had to do the tests, and then we had to wait for the tests, and it wasn't until Saturday afternoon, so day 2, that she got the test result back, and she was like, you need to pack a bag and you need to go to hospital. And we were like, oh no. I got really upset. I thought I was doing something wrong, and just it really upset me. But but we had to go back in to the delivery suite, which was a bit of a shock to the system after having such a dreamy midwife-led birth, because we hadn't even experienced the delivery ward or suite, whatever they call it, or the maternity unit suite. I don't know what it's called. Are you getting on that or not? Everyone can see my nipple. Where was I? Yeah, so unfortunately we had to go back in, and he had to be in the photo lamp, UV lamp, for 12 hours, which ended up being a lot longer than that. And we spent 48 hours back in the hospital to have this light therapy for his jaundice. And that just sort of disrupted that first week of bliss, as they say you're supposed to have newborn bliss, because we were just in there and that was half the week gone basically. But luckily he needed it, and it was a good chance to get like basically a boot camp of feeding experience. All the midwife or the maternity assistants, they really helped with my breastfeeding and bottle feeding actually through it, because basically he had to be in this lamp for 3 hours dead on, and then for we had half an hour to get him out, try and breastfeed. What are you doing on there? Trying to talk, trying to have a conversation, mate. Yeah, so we had basically literally half an hour under pressure, which gave me like 15 minutes to breastfeed, and then 15-20 minutes, and then they topped him up with a bottle, which was lucky. We were always planning on combi feeding, but that was kind of literally a boot camp of how to breastfeed, getting on the pump. So in hindsight it was a good experience, but it just was a bit stressful in those first couple of days, but it really could have been worse, and we got really lucky with everything else. So we couldn't have had it plain sailing the whole way. So yeah, and then it's just been a learning curve ever since, which you've probably seen on my Instagram if you follow me over there, Emily Gossip. Yeah, so that was my positive birth story. So I would like to thank Joey from Joey Yoga. I'll leave her link in the description box below if you're local to Bristol. Highly recommend her, and I would highly recommend the midwife-led unit. Thank you to all the midwives that helped me. If it sort of went round the unit, a few midwives came in, oh, you're a bit Insta famous. I was like, oh, not really, not Insta me, no. So there was that, everyone that came in just, oh, here you're on Instagram, got to do it. Anyway, if you happen to be watching this, thank you. You made our experience wonderful, and yeah, just a really lovely memory of how Teddie came into the world. So thanks. Oh, I'm getting all emotional thinking about it again. I will put a few clips in of the photos that we took, because I didn't take any video footage, unfortunately. It was like literally last minute. I was like, Brad, get the camera. Like the whole way through we hadn't got any photos, because I just didn't care. And then yeah, at the last bit I was like, Greg, get the photo, get the camera out, like whilst we were still in the water. And I'm so glad we did, because if we didn't get any photos of that I'd have been gutted. So yeah, I'll pop those in here and do a little slideshow to end this little video, which is probably not a little video, and I've rambled for a long time. So if you've got any questions, please leave them in the link below, in the comments section below, and I will do my best to answer them as best I can. And I hope you've enjoyed this video, and hope you've missed me, and I'm back, hopefully. I'm going to try and film a few videos and get them all edited and uploaded to go, and try and keep things consistent, which might be difficult with this little one attached to my boob regularly. But anyway, thanks for having me back. I'll see you in the next video. Bye. This is my little teddy bear. Hey, you're gorgeous. Welcome to YouTube. Oh, I can hear that Ziggy coming up. You got hiccups. There we go. He gets a bit of reflux after a feed. He's not very happy, are you? Hey, he's good now. Just have to let it go down a bit. Hey. He's my gorgeous boy. Whoop. Say hi. Hi, YouTube. Mwah. I've just got kisses all over you. Whoops. Wipe that off. Not supposed to come off, is it? Oh. Oh. Hey. You say hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. He's my gorgeous boy. He's 9 weeks today. Aren't you? You got hiccups. You get hiccups a lot. Yeah. Oh, I missed you this afternoon. Did you have fun with Daddy? Hey? Did you go out for lunch? Was it nice? Hey? Yeah. Oh. Oh, well, you got hold of Mummy's hair. Oh. He's my gorgeous boy. Oh. Oh. Hey. Oh, look how gorgeous you are. Look how gorgeous you are. Hey? Yeah. Let's let go of Mummy's hair. Ow. Oh, that sounds like the thing's gonna come up. Should we turn it off now? Hey, should we turn it off now and see what other videos we can do whilst you're happy? I'm gonna do a bit of a bedroom tour. And I plan on doing a bit of a postpartum Primark try on. So these are the videos I've got planned, which may or may not be coming in the next few days, weeks, who knows, months, maybe next year. I don't know. We shall see. Wish me luck. See ya, bye.